Hey, today I'm having a chat with my cousin. What's interesting about that? Well, he's worked with some of the most famous people in the world. Keep watching. I'm here. We're going to meet my cousin and we're looking forward to it. Photographer, extraordinaire filmmaker, ex-hairdresser. Here he is.
Hey.
Gary, how you doing?
Man?
Nice to see you.
It's a bit of social
no, we have to do a little bit of this now, mate.
Yeah.
So let's go and get something to eat.
Fantastic.
Catch
I hope
up.
they've got nice sausage sandwiches. That's what I've been hoping for on the journey up here.
Well, I'm sure we can find a sausage sandwich.
Well,
The question is, red sauce or brown sauce or no sauce at all, as Danny Baker would say.
What a classic game show on the radio, and unfortunately it no longer exists. So we have to invent it ourselves. But I would definitely go brown sauce with sausage because I just think the spices work, and with bacon it's got to be red. I'm afraid.
Red sauce with bacon?
Yeah.
No, sacrilege.
Yeah.
Sacrilege.
It just seems to work. But
I'm not having that. I'm not having that.
I'll see if I can win you over.
I know about photography in the pandemic. This is actually, we're on our way now to our third cafe because the first one we couldn't even get in on the car park.
Yeah.
The second one we did make it, as you saw, onto the car park. But by the time we got in, they said, "Do you have an appointment?" Since when did you need an appointment
To buy a sausage?
To get a sausage sandwich, for goodness sake. So there were so many people there. So we've had to come away from there. This is our last chance saloon to get a sausage sandwich. Is just this place over here. This is a fantastic place, by the way, because it's like a throwback to the 60s. It's like you would get inside and think that it's been done on purpose, but I'm not sure it has. So let's go and...
When I pulled up, I actually thought we might bump into Richard E. Grant and Paul McCann. It's very well with Nail and I, this place.
Well, let's go and have a look, see what we can get. So it's great to see Gary, and we're going to talk photography because he is a professional photographer and filmmaker. But one little thing that he's also brought to me today to review on the channel. Have a look at this.
For a while, Phil. So I'm going to put it in my bag today. This is something like...
Look at that. We've got a Leica to play with. We've got to do a review of that. We don't know what model it is, but we can soon find out.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a mystery. I did sort of try and do a bit of research on it myself. Just put it out of there.
Wow, look at that. It won't take us long to find out what that is. We'll get a film inside it and we'll get some pictures shot with that. And maybe we can pit it against the Voigtlander. You know, we did the Voigtlander review.
Yeah.
See how the Voigtlander fares. And my son's got an old 1939 Leica 3F, I think it is. So we can do a shootout. That's going to be great. So, let's talk to Gary. Now, Gary, you're a professional photographer and you're based down in Northamptonshire, is that right?
Yeah. Well, we live in Northamptonshire, but you know, like yourself, you work all over. So I can't really, you know, when people say, "Where are you based?" I always just say the UK because it makes life simpler, doesn't it? Sometimes, but
yeah.
I you know.
And you also ran a film school. Are you still running the film school?
Yeah, we've you know, film school is.
Because you were a professional actor.
Yes,
You were a professional actor before you went into sort of directing and film school.
Yeah, my son summed it up the other day. He went, "Dad, you're really good at doing things that you have no skill at whatsoever." And he said, "You just sort of do it." And yeah, I mean, I guess I've always sort of had that sort of can-do attitude.
But of course I mean, you know, I mentioned this before, Gary is my cousin. His mum is my mum's sister, and we grew up together, literally 2 streets apart.
Yeah.
And spent our youth playing Wimbledon with chalk marks courts on the street, and had to stop playing when the bus came along.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we've known each other a long time. So
all our lives.
When Gary left school, you started off as a hairdresser, but you weren't just a hairdresser. You actually ended up doing supermodels' hair on Milan, New York, London fashion shows. I mean, that's where it all started, and that's where you saw photography at its, I suppose, highest level.
Yeah, and I guess I was quite fortunate, but at the time, you know, when you're young and youthful, you don't realise how fortunate you are, do you? You know, and I was working with people like Bruce Weber and Mario Testino and David Bailey, of course. I mean, you know, probably the most famous photographer in Britain, or the world, isn't he, David Bailey? You know, people say, who do you think you are? David Bailey.
Absolutely. I wish I had a pound for every time somebody had told me
Yeah,
that. Oh, look, David Bailey's here.
Yeah. So,
That, and have you got your wide angle lens, mate? It would have made me a fortune.
Oh, really? And so I kind of ended up working with these guys, and then the next generation coming along, which were people like Bret-Day, Anthony Edwin, and then Elaine Constantine, the next generation of great British photographers. And yeah, so people like Bruce Weber, and when I picked up a camera, just talking about getting into acting, everything kind of followed on from each other, because I was doing I started working on film sets and working with actors. And I thought, this is quite a nice life, and but I was always actually drawn to the producers as well. I kind of found the producers quite an interesting group of people, and I was just this huge sponge taking in all this information from everyone. And then, oddly enough, when we started film school, there was no intention to start film school. It just kind of happened. You know, we got some young guys who wanted to make something. We started doing, you know, making little scenes up with them. And then they said, can we film it? And I got some film guys in, and we filmed what they were doing. And then people started approaching me to make sort of corporate films, and we were very lucky and fortunate to meet a lady called Brenda Easton, who wanted to make bigger scale documentary films and historical type documentaries using reenactors. And we started doing that. And then, through being frustrated, because I have no technical ability, none whatsoever. I don't know an f-stop from a bus stop. Honestly, I'm completely useless with tech.
I like that expression.
Yeah, no.
I'm going to use that.
I mean, but I don't. But I'm very visually aware, and I'm very conscious of that I'm very visually aware. I know that, and I speak visually as well. You know, but picking up a camera, stills camera, came from the frustration of not being able to do the other bits. I had to show people what I wanted, so a camera was an easy way to go, I'd like the shot to look like this, because I could kind of just get it and do it. And then people were like, I like your pictures. And then I just, you know, again, taking my son's mantra, you're good at doing stuff you have no experience at.
And so did you go off and acquire some sort of technical knowledge, or just did you just sort of say, you know, I'm going to pick a camera, I'll work out how to use this?
Yeah, I'll work it out somehow, and if I don't know, I'll ask. I'm lucky I've got a really great assistant who's really, really technically, you know, knowledgeable.
Okay, so we'll give them a shout out.
I can't remember his name. Greg. Sorry, no, his name's Greg. I was just messing around. I mean, I've been fortunate. I've worked with some of the world's best photographers, and they all have their set is set up differently. So you have some people who like to play loads of loud music, and it's really, you know, like Elaine Constantine. If you're on one of her sets, you are involved in the shoot. You know, she could be photographing some supermodel, but she'll go, Gary, get in the picture. And she will literally throw you into the picture. And then you can go, for instance, somebody like Stephen Meisel. The day I have worked with him, well, I say I worked with him, I was assisting, I wasn't allowed in the studio.
Really?
Yeah, I had to stand outside. And they
It's just him and the subject?
No, he had a core crew who were allowed in. Everybody else, hair and makeup, stood on the outside.
Well, it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because, you know, I've had 35 years as a professional photographer, and you know, I'm in an industry where I work alone. I don't have assistants, I don't have people. Everything that I shoot with, I carry on my back, literally, or if I can get my car close enough. It's a really, really different set of rules to people that shoot in studios for magazines and that. And I mean, it's quite interesting. I have to, I do stuff on the vlog where I show people that you need to adapt. Whatever lighting you can carry is what you can take. I mean, those guys probably have 50 lights all in the studio, all at their disposal, and assistants to move them and put them up. It's really interesting. I'm not saying one is better than the other or easier than the other, because they all have their challenges. I mean, I think to myself, if I had a studio and 50 lights all in the same place, how the hell would I get different pictures of different people? Surely they'd all look the blooming same. But they don't. They somehow manage to get the character of different people out of the same room, and I think that's an absolute skill. I mean, I use environment. I see portraits as in the wider sense, and when I'm shooting portraits, which I love to do, I'm a people photographer essentially, but I like to explore the portrait as a whole, using the environment as well. How do you prefer to be in a studio, or in a controlled environment, or do you? No, that's okay. Yeah, come on in. Here we go. Look at that. There they go. We did get a sausage sandwich in the end. No, that's a good question. Does he want sauce?
Yeah. Would you like sauce?
I'm going to have brown sauce, thank you.
There we go.
Oh, I've got a bacon.
Well, do you know what? We're going to have nobody likes pictures of people eating. So just before we finish this little mini interview, and we are going to do a longer interview. We're going to light it properly and have a good sort of half an hour chat. But just in the spirit of letting Gary enjoy his sausage sandwich, we'll cut here. That's the remains of my bacon sandwich. So we'll get back to chatting. We were just while we were talking, we were just chatting about different photographers and how they approach working, in different ways, and how some have very strict ways of working and others are more fluid. And you were just about to tell me about somebody, Arthur
Elgort. He's a New York based photographer, primarily fashion photographer, but with a passion for ballet. And he was from that Peter Lindbergh period in the mid to late 80s in New York, when all the supermodels are really kind of taking off. And I've been watching a lot of his interviews with him on YouTube, and he's a very humble guy, and quite witty as well. And we were just talking about how do you get something out of someone, and I think out of the subject, and I think Arthur just naturally has that ability, because you hear him talking and you warm to him. I've never met the guy, but I can imagine on a set with him would be quite entertaining.
Yeah, well, I was listening to Bill Brandt in a documentary, and again, for me, he's one of my biggest inspirations. He's always, his pictures have moved me to the extent that I just love to be inspired by him and create something that even has a modicum of his style.
Yeah.
But listening to him interviewed, I can't believe how anybody with such a genius with the camera can be so modest. He just said, it's just luck, really.
Yeah.
It's, I don't kind of really do anything. It's just, I just happen to be really lucky that I meet nice people. You are such a great guy.
Yeah, I think there's an element of truth in that, and I think if you're warm and you give yourself to people and they feel confident with you, then of course they're gonna, it's a trust thing, isn't it?
I mean, would you say in many ways there's I'm going to use a parallel of football, that's soccer, to the US viewers, and that is, there's loads of old footballers from the 50s and 60s and 70s in Britain where they didn't make actually that much money. They were fantastic footballers, but they never made the money that the superstar footballers make today. And I kind of see that in photography maybe a little bit as well. Some of those older photographers, they probably didn't make the money in their day. They were just very inspirational photographers, but now, I mean, some of those guys you were talking about earlier, they must earn a fortune.
Yeah, I mean, we were discussing we were talking about day rates, you know, and...
Yeah. I mean, in London now, for a jobbing photographer, you know, somebody that does regular PR work, I mean, a day rate is probably, you know, around about £600-700 for doing marketing and PR work. I'm guessing that's not quite the same for a highbrow magazine photographer.
Well, if they're shooting editorial from magazines, their rate's not going to be that much, because obviously if you're shooting for British Vogue or American Vogue or Dazed or one of the other magazines, the rate's going to be... I mean, a lot of the time they're doing it for nothing as well, just for the editorial pages. But when it comes to the advertising, one photographer I worked with quite a lot, their day rate was up to £75,000 a day. You know,
really?
Yeah, for like a 10-day shoot.
Oh my God! You literally £750,000 to do a shoot.
There's a lot of expense tied up in with that fee, but I imagine they'd be taking a nice chunk of that fee for their sales. But it's
like anything, isn't it? They've strived to get to that level, and for whatever reason, they're popular, just like sports stars and actors and whatnot. And you know, if your name becomes synonymous with quality and people want to be associated with you, then the price tag goes with that.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been anywhere near those sort of price, you know, fees and definitely bottom rung of those sort of fees. But imagine the pressure that also comes with that, Phil.
Yeah.
You know, that must be pretty difficult to cope with.
So you're shooting now. You're enjoying taking pictures and filming and.
Well, I mean, obviously,
directing.
Coronavirus, as we were discussing, has pretty much, you know, ground everything to a halt, and you know, it's almost becoming a cliche, isn't it, to say we're in strange times.
Yeah.
It's obvious, you know, it's you know, I've got.
But your mind never stops working. You're looking pictures all the time. I mean, I do. You know, and you're still doing things for yourself. And and you know, I'm lucky that I've got a channel and I'm sharing some stuff with people.
Yeah.
You know, around the world, and they say there's no such thing as a free lunch, but I'm giving some free tips away. If people want to take it with them or not is entirely, you know, up to them. But I mean, it's 35 years of experience, you know, sort of put out there for the benefit of other people, not to make the same mistakes I did.
Yeah. I mean, your background, you know, I can remember you when we were, you know, growing up, and as you mentioned, playing tennis in the on the streets, and you had a passion for photography. You had a Saturday job at a newspaper, didn't you? You must have been like 15, 16.
Yeah, absolutely. I pestered them until when I was 16. They gave me a job because they thought, we're never going to get rid of this guy, so we might as well give him something to do.
Yeah, and for me, you see, I was quite scared of cameras, you know, whereas you sort of embraced them. And I think for me personally, I find directing easier, because again, to go back to the technical issues, I can step away from it a little bit and surround myself with people. But
you're bridging a gap there with directing, aren't you? Because you're bridging a gap because you've got skills in visual skills, in photography and lighting, but you've got acting skills, and so you're able to bridge that gap between where the actors are and what they want to do, and the you know, the cinematographers are and what they want to do.
Yeah, and for me, I guess I've always had a bit of a voyeuristic kind of take on life. I've always wanted to watch and mimic and see what people are doing. You know, I mean, I love documentaries. You know, you were talking about you like to watch on YouTube, like to watch lots of films, you know, regarding photographers. For me, I just have to indulge myself in documentaries because I'm interested and fascinated by people. And just sort of, you know, veering around here, photography is quite a brilliant field in that you capture a moment of that person, don't you?
Oh yeah.
You know, just that split second, they can do something that's just so fascinating. Unlike film, where it's a fleeting moment, it's gone, and they're on to something else, and someone else has come in the room, and you know, and Mr. Darcy's got his shirt off, and they've forgotten that wonderful moment, and that's, you know, whereas photography is a you know, for me, I mean, I just,
I suppose in a way you can hide behind that, in the sense of, you know, we create things, you know, for people sometimes, and the amount of times our client says, I'm never going to believe what I see in a photograph again, because we've created something in a small, dirty room, which is messy and whatnot. And when you see the picture we've done of them, it looks like they're in a hospital theatre, because we've just created a corner of a room with something looking really slick. And if you looked behind and saw the rest of what was going on, you know.
A quick story, anecdote. I worked with David Bailey I worked with him for a number of years, but the two occasions I was working with him, and it was for a big campaign, and they were getting the girl ready and everything, and I said, oh, maybe we should just move her hat a little bit, and he said, don't move it a little bit, make a big decision. I went, okay, well, I don't know, and I said, I don't know what to do now. I'm stuck. A few weeks later again, I'm working with him, and it's with Nicole Kidman, and they're shooting covers for British Vogue. And what he's done, he's created this, out of polyboards, he's created this set where she's inside the polyboards and no one can look in, and he's made a hole in the polyboard, you know, like, you know, when people go fishing in the Arctic, and he's stuck his lens through, and he's just shooting, going, shooting. And I went, oh, because you have to call him Bailey. I said, oh, Bailey, can I just have a look, just make sure she's all right? And he turned to me and went, she's all right. And if I wanted to let you know she wasn't, you would know. And you could go in and do a little bit. And I went, not a little bit, make a big decision. And he's turned and looked at me, and he's remembered it, you know. And it was just the same photographer on two completely separate occasions, working completely differently, but also it just amused me.
Funny moment.
yeah. But he was
he was king of the shoot, was he?
Oh, Dave, it's like nothing else. I mean, I was absolutely petrified of him. Then I kind of warmed to him, and then I ended up just thinking, I want to kill this man. He's insane. Absolutely insane.
And such fantastic photography.
Oh, well, I would shout and scream with him, and he would shout and scream back at me. And I remember one day I was going, look at these brilliant pictures you've got here. And in his studio, he's got pictures of the Rolling Stones, Jack Nicholson, and, you know, all these kind of wonderful images all around the studio. But he would get glee from that. He'd have this look in his eye of like, I've really wound you up, look. And then next week he's got his arm around you going, you know, and he's such a I don't know, provocateur. Yeah. And I guess that's what he got, you know, so much.
I got the best out of people.
Yeah, I think, amazing pictures, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
I mean, you think of the time he was producing stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, it's been great sharing a sausage sandwich. I really enjoyed it. Now, what I'd like to do, I'm going to go away and shoot some pictures on the Leica and show people how that performs. This is a bit of an impromptu sort of interview, really, because we'd like to do something that's sort of more in depth, with perhaps better audio and me not wobbling a little camera around in a tea shop. So maybe we can arrange something. If people would like to see that, comment below. If you'd like to see a proper in-depth interview for half an hour on Gary's experiences, that's something we can do. But for now, Gary, thank you very much for talking to us.
It's a pleasure.
And I hope we can do some more soon.
And just about that free lunch. Is that going to happen?
We'll see what we can do. Oh, before we go, if people are interested in your website?
It's just garyhaliday.co.uk. Take a look there. And my Instagram's the same, just Gary Haliday, just goes to the Instagram. I have the most uncurated Instagram in the world. I try and make it up. Phil's looks fantastic. It's all really put. I kind of end up putting, I had beans on toast yesterday. Here's a picture of it, and then there's a picture of a model. I don't know what I'm doing.
We'll leave it there. Brilliant. Gary, thank you.
Pleasure, mate.